Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make a batch of mead. It's been a while since I posted anything, probably close to 2 years. But what we're going to do tonight is show how unbelievably easy it is to make mead. And what mead is basically honey wine. So it's going to taste like wine. The primary fermentable in that is honey. So what I've got right here, I've already started the cleaning process in the carboy. Some people really like to boil the honey and boil the water and do all these things. It's not actually necessary, in my experience. I've made delicious mead in a very short amount of time, other than the aging process, without doing any of those things. So right now I've got my cleanser in the carboy. I'm going to go ahead and shake that up, and then we will start the process. So just like any other brewed product, your ingredients are going to dictate what it tastes like. So the main ingredient in mead is going to be your water. So you need to have water that tastes good. I have purchased an under sink filter. It's a very simple, it's about $40. My area, Champaign, Illinois, has very good tasting water anyway. It's consistently ranked, I think, in the top 10 in the country, which obviously helps. But just as an added measure, I've gone ahead and installed an under sink filter to take out any chlorine or any of the additives to it. So I'm going to go ahead and use water. It's being filtered underneath the sink. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the carboy right now, and that's going to be the majority of the process right there. In order to get it in there, I use the spigot, or the sprayer, whatever it is. This is, I clean this often. It uses the same water source as my faucet right there, which is filtered underneath the sink down here. And I'll fill this up. I'm going to make 4 gallons, so I'm going to fill it up to the 3-gallon mark, add a gallon of honey, and then I'm going to add the yeast to it. And then once it's done its primary fermentation, I'll go ahead and add if I choose to, which I likely will, some blackberries into it after the primary fermentation is done. And what that'll do is that'll add sweetness, and it will add color, as well as obviously the flavor of the blackberries. These are my other ingredients. This is pure Illinois wildflower honey from that apiary right there, which is actually in a real small town in central Illinois. It's just from bees that we generally pull from the Illinois wildflowers. It's got a really nice, clean taste to it. These are yeast nutrients and yeast energizers. Some people use them, some people don't. Actually, this will be the first time I've tried these, so I generally don't use anything other than water, yeast, and sometimes fruit and honey in my mead. But I'm going to go ahead and give these a try because the recipe that I was looking at actually suggested them. So we'll see what it does. And here we go. Adding the honey. This honey is about 6 months old, probably. Maybe 7 or 8. I'm just pouring it directly into the carboy right there. And then I will shake it up to give it some oxygen. And then we will put the rest of our ingredients, including our yeast, in, and that'll be it. We'll just wait. We're still putting the honey in. Honey is a slow-moving liquid. So I went ahead and moved the carboy down to my basement since I'm not going to need the sink anymore. I have added the yeast nutrient and the yeast energizer to the solution. The must, as it is called in winemaking and mead making. So there's a pretty clear picture of what that looks like. Most of the honey obviously is going to fall to the bottom because it's much more dense. And we're almost finished adding the gallon of honey to the solution. And once that's added, we will go ahead and mix it up to get some oxygen in the liquid, and we'll add our yeast to it, which is going to be a sweeter wine yeast. We want this to be a little bit sweeter, so we'll go ahead and add a sweet wine yeast to this. It's a Lavlin. I don't remember the number. And then we'll add the airlock to it, and basically it'll just sit for a couple of months. And that'll be it. There's the yeast we're going to add. It is a Lavlin 71B-1122. It's a sweeter wine yeast, so it should leave some residual sugars in the final product, which the last meads I've made have been fairly dry, very strong, and very dry because of the yeast blend that I used. So I wanted this one to be a little bit sweeter, just to see what I can get out of it. And so this is what I've chosen to do that. All right, I have oxygenated the must basically by shaking the holy shit out of it. I don't have a stir. I don't like to stir things generally, so unless I am boiling. So I picked this up with the airlock in it, put my finger over the hole, and just shook it. I did it over the table just in case I dropped it, fell on the floor, it would make a huge mess and probably cut me, and that's no fun. So I basically picked it up and shook it, and it's very bubbly now. So I'm going to go ahead and add the yeast to it. Once that's done, I will move it into the primary fermenting chamber, which is the back room of my basement, and let it sit. A lot of people are really big on making starters. I generally don't do that, mostly because I just don't have time, and I've had lots and lots of success without doing it. I think it's a great thing to do if you have the time to do it, and you can carve out time to make your beverages and whatever. I had about a half an hour free, and I've had these ingredients for a little while, so I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and make this mead. And so I did make a starter. Like I said, I generally don't. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not something that's absolutely necessary. It speeds the process up, certainly, but you can make tremendous beverages without it. So I didn't, and this will turn out just fine. All right, so there it is. That is the 4 gallons of mead, traditional non-flavored mead, just honey wine that I put together in about 15 minutes in its final destination until it's finished its primary fermentation. It'll sit in my basement here for probably 2 months while it ferments out most of that honey in there. And at that point, I will rack it into the secondary on top of about a gallon of blackberries, and it can finish off in there. So that's it. Simple process. Mead is the first fermented beverage that was made, and it's probably one of the most simple. It's very easy to make. It's hard to screw up because it's so simple. And you can throw it together. If you like wine, you can make it dry and very strong, or you can make it sweet and only a little strong. But I definitely recommend trying it if you're brewing, because it's pretty cheap and it's very easy to make. Thanks. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make a batch of mead. It's been a while since I posted anything, probably close to 2 years. But what we're going to do tonight is show how unbelievably easy it is to make mead. And what mead is basically honey wine. So it's going to taste like wine. The primary fermentable in that is honey. So what I've got right here, I've already started the cleaning process in the carboy. Some people really like to boil the honey and boil the water and do all these things. It's not actually necessary, in my experience. I've made delicious mead in a very short amount of time, other than the aging process.